All right, so I get to work and I just decide I've got 2 new people working with me today. I'm not going to tell them it's my birthday until the right moment, right? So we're going through the day. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're the exclusive retailer for a couple of Dolly Parton fragrances. So they send us a memo that we're getting a life-size Dolly Parton cutout. I read this memo aloud, bring them over to the computer so they know that I'm not messing with them. And then I say, oh my God, this is the best birthday ever.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
It's 2 minutes for roping. I like that.
You're a jabroni.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday night. It's What the Show, and it's my birthday. We don't have the Thor Ragnarok thing queued up just because we don't want another copyright strike, but I'm joined by... My name's AJ Lancaster. I'm joined by some of our lovely co-hosts here.
Oh, yeah.
I like that Adam just looks like he's a co-host tonight because we just had him on. Usually we introduce our guest, and we're like, not this week. He's coming on for the cold open, and we're just rolling.
We're going straight into it. Yeah.
Well, and I'm curious what kind of Dolly Parton cutout we're talking. If it's present day, vintage.
Present day. Present
Okay.
day.
Well, you can't go wrong with any vintage of Dolly Parton.
Yeah. Dolly's, ageless pretty much. So
What I'm curious about, AJ, is who you're gonna if you're gonna be charging for photos with her and stuff like that.
I think so.
You should.
The other thing is they said life size, so I want it to be 1-to-1 scale. I looked it up. She's 5 foot even. So if she's so I need to measure it if it's exactly 5 feet tall. However, if she's wearing
might be wearing heels.
If she's wearing heels, then I have to look at the length of the heel, find out if the length of her foot. So I'm gonna have to look up Dolly Parton's feet. It's gonna be really uncomfortable for me. And then do a little trigonometry to see how much she's getting lifted by the heel. Because if it's not a true 1-to-1, I'm sending it back.
Yeah, this was false advertisement. 100%.
Slow work day.
If you had to watch a Dolly Parton movie on your birthday, AJ, what would it be?
I mean, 9 to 5.
I was gonna say it's not 9 to 5.
that's
That's a class.
No
Great.
Rhinestone Love?
Oh, Rhinestone is beautiful, isn't it?
I wouldn't watch it on your birthday, though. That's more for a Tuesday, I can't sleep kind of a movie.
Yeah.
Whatever. What's the one? The one with the Julia Roberts dies one. I can't think of the name of that movie.
Steel Magnolias.
Thank you. That one's kind of depressing.
Like you have an expert here. He's
so
gonna
I
know
wouldn't
this.
I like that movie. I like that movie. It's a great stage show
movie.
too. Yeah.
See, I would only watch Rhinestone on my birthday if Sylvester Stallone sang me "Happy Birthday" in his country music voice.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Happy birthday. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing in that movie when he's
Now-
about singing about beer.
Speaking of your birthday, AJ, you know how we celebrate things on What the Show, right?
Oh no! God, champagne.
Oh yeah, it's happening.
Oh, wow.
I'm not gonna lie, we almost
wait, I
thought
still
about
have some left from
Melon
Friday.
Smash, but we'd have to go to that one particular 7-Eleven, and that was kind of a hike tonight. So Corbell it was. It's very appropriate.
I'm just gonna pull a Barbarian and just drink it right from the.
Yeah.
Okay, so far we've had references to Bodies, 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 and Barbarian, completely unrelated to a recent spooky season mashup, which is, I think, so on brand for us.
Well, I just want to know, Juice, did anyone put anything in that wine? Is it good? Is it safe? Bill Skarsgård wasn't in there earlier.
He left it unopened for you, so
He didn't double book with you. Okay.
Didn't double book.
Okay.
So far, so good. I'll let you know as the show progresses.
Fair.
I think we're the only people on the stream that have seen Barbarian or perhaps Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Adam,
I've seen Barbarian.
Okay,
I
Meant to.
I actually
will.
still need to see Bodies. So that
Yeah.
one's NA for me right now. But I have seen Barbarian.
Okay.
I only saw Barbarian about 2 weeks ago. I was late to the party in that one, but wow, that was a ride.
Juice, do you remember when you picked Bodies
For
to
the
be
top
on
10.
your top
I
10
do.
of the summer? I'll never forget.
And I was
I'll never
informed it
forget.
did not make it.
Yeah.
Did
I
it even
should've
make
went-
the top 20?
I cannot tell.
It might have been about 20.
I have to say the trailer was not bad though. I was sort of intrigued by it. But yeah, official. Go ahead.
Oh, it's a perfect 5 out of 10 movie. It's
Okay, yeah. You know what?
Stirring.
Sometimes you're in
Yeah.
the mood for
It
it.
exists.
Sometimes you're in the mood.
It
Before
was
we-
it was
That is-
20. It was
Sorry,
25.
go ahead.
No, I say it was 25.
It was
I
just-
said it's not 25. Okay. Go bodies.
Yeah.
More
There
and
we go.
more these days, it seems like the phrase "it exists" is the rallying cry of film criticism in the 2020s.
yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying, and I'm not nothing against the your use of it, AJ, but I just mean more often than not, your use of it makes sense to me. But sometimes when I ask someone their opinion on something, and that's literally all they can say to me, and then they move on, I'm like, there's more to it than that, though, isn't there?
Yeah. No. Like, stop me if you've heard this one before. It is one of the movies of all time.
before we proceed into more of our spooky season talk, AJ, why don't you tell everybody about the charity for November?
So November's charity, we are going to be donating 100% of our Streamlabs to O'Shea Children's Hospital in Buffalo, New York. We decided on this. I kind of ipso facto decided on this by trying to stage a bet with a YouTuber that I follow, Tom Grossi, who does a lot of NFL content.
His stuff's fun. His reaction videos are actually really what certain teams' fan base thinks after a game is usually pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, so he set up this thing that if the Packers beat the Bills, that he was going to donate $100 to a Buffalo area Children's Hospital, but if the Bills won, he would donate $250. So I put kind of a little thing out there that said, you know what, if the Packers cover the spread, we'll do that for our November charity. So that's what we're going to be representing, is an awesome but like they specialize in like trauma and stuff like that for children. So I think it's something kind of cool that we get to represent a new cause we wouldn't have otherwise.
Of course.
And if you make your own independent donation, just tag both us and Tom Grassi.
Yeah.
We're not chasing clout.
Right.
Right.
We just want to
But
help.
also, we want to help, and we just like to know if you donate. It's for a good cause. And also, think of the children. They already have to live in Buffalo. You know, like it's already a tough break.
They might have something to cheer for this year, but
They
it's
have
still-
yeah.
a decent football team, but it's so cold all the time.
We
Very
need to,
drafty. Yeah.
speaking of people from Buffalo, we still need to have our send John Kaiser to Disney World.
oh my god.
It's true.
That's true.
Our
Send
fake-
John Kaiser
fake
to Disneyland
charity.
fundraiser.
And
That'll
with
be
that,
nice.
guys, we have our
December.
first donation to the of the night from Jason Voorhees, donating $10, saying,
Hey,
"My
Thanks,
favorite
Jason
movie
Voorhees.
of the year is Chi Chi Chi, real smooth."
Oh. Yeah.
touche, Jason Voorhees.
Not much of a talker usually, that Jason, but we appreciate
No.
it.
Big
So
Dakota
true.
Johnson fan.
Apparently.
You know, he does. There is some Jason Voorhees news out there.
Yes.
So
San Francisco Lake.
yeah, that's the more mainstream news, which is exciting. And I for one am in favor of the prequel angle because they can do away with all the copyright issues they're dealing with and just kind of have some fun. But what I'm really excited about is if any of you have never heard of this, there's a fan film that's excellent on YouTube called Never Hike Alone. And it's like just higher budget fan film, you know, about a guy who goes hiking in the Catskill Mountains, essentially, and runs into Jason. And it's really effective and fun. And it's a survivalist film as well. And I'm like, that's such a cool angle with that. And there's a sequel coming out, I think next year, They crowdfunded it. So
Very cool.
mhm.
It's
See,
probably
I-
going to be better than the no. I'm just kidding. I'm sure the prequel will also be good.
Well, the thing with like what, the concept you're saying is one of my favorite horror tropes, which is why I really like Barbarian, is when they keep it small and simple.
Mhm.
I find most of those to be the ones I enjoy the most. So based on what you're saying, that sounds like something that I definitely will want to check out 100%. So, but you know what I just mentioned it, like, you know, this year we did have a couple of very good. This was a pretty decent year for mainstream horror movies. Like we had some pretty big ones and some pretty damn good ones
and
too.
then there were some duds.
And then there were a few duds, but
Always
There
are.
was one. What's that?
There always are some duds.
Yeah.
Sure.
and
then-
not just stuff that gets lost in streaming. But yeah,
right.
I think for tonight, just for the happiness that is my birthday, we're gonna put Halloween Ends on the banned words list.
It's on the Nolan list.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. We will refrain in honor
We've done about Nolan
celebration.
for a
We
while.
will refrain from talking about that movie.
Yes.
We will only
Uh,
talk about good things.
Good and
and
happy-
just overall spooky season wrap up thoughts.
So
Spooky season
ended
is
with a bang. First off,
Is a frame
Yeah.
of mind and can be celebrated always.
it ended with a bang on Saturday Night Live this week, though. We got the ultimate spooky season return on Saturday Night Live with the return of David S. Pumpkins, which was just a perfect way to just the most silly and fun ending to a Halloween season you could ask for.
I love that Tom Hanks became an inadvertent fashion icon in the past like decade because of David S. Pumpkins, and I remember the year David S. Pumpkins landed, the pumpkin suit game online. Like they couldn't keep them in stock. It was amazing, and I remember within a year of that, I found a jack-o'-lantern tie at a yard sale, and I was just overjoyed because I hadn't been able to find anything like that in stores for so long. So. I got to still watch the sketch from last weekend, but I heard about it, and I'm here for more David S. Pumpkins.
It's exactly what you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
And also, I'm just going to bring up a small beef real quick from our anniversary stream in which Benny tried to say that Tom Hanks had not done anything good since, what did he say, 92, 90?
Yeah.
He said 91.
91.
He said 91.
And when that SNL skit came out, I was like, excuse me. First of all, we already argued with him that there were other roles that he was
Well,
good
League of
since
Their Own was
91.
after that, which he had to concede.
But also, I need him to concede on the fact that David S. Pumpkins is a national treasure. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, you forgot about David S. Pumpkins.
I think I could see Benny having an internet feud with David S. Pumpkins.
I
Like
could
a
also
one way, just
we're gonna
angry
wake
feud.
up and he's gonna be arguing on Twitter with himself about David S. Pumpkins, probably.
and it's going to be delightful.
Well, for me, when you gave me the courtesy of coming on this week, the part of the reason I wanted to do this is because I always go through a little bit of a post Halloween malaise, a little bit of a denial period where I'm not quite willing to let go, where I go to the store and I like look longingly at the stuff that's still on the shelves, buy some of it sometimes, but
Yeah, price half the time.
yeah, exactly. But speaking for my part, I spent the past couple days kind of like catching up with some loose ends. So like I saw Hocus Pocus 2 finally, and I saw Terrifier 2, which I'll get to later. That's a whole subject in and of itself.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard.
yeah, and it's worth talking about. But Hocus Pocus 2, I'm glad I finally saw it, but has everyone seen it?
Yes.
Yes.
Or at
I
least
have
we
not.
have.
Juice, you have not had the pleasure?
I didn't even see the original Hocus Pocus.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
Well,
I
This
have
is
no
where I go full
qualms.
that kinda
millennial woman
messed-
on you, and I'm like, "What? How have you never seen Hocus Pocus?"
That one's kind of hard to have missed.
It was just on
Wow.
Disney Channel all the time, like all the
I
time.
didn't have Disney Channel. Okay,
Well, all right, that's fair.
We
That's
had-
probably how you messed up.
we
I'll
had
let you guys dive into spoilers if you tell
We
me
had
one thing
PBS.
beforehand.
We had Etch a Sketch of the Bible at my house. Yeah.
Wait, what's the one thing, AJ, that we have to tell you?
Is Doug Jones in it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Jones is
Yeah.
in it. Yeah,
I'd like-
100%.
He's one of the highlights for sure.
I was going to say he steals the show pretty much anytime he's on screen. So
Mhm.
So spoil away, yes.
Well, I'm not going to get into like super plot details, but what I will say is for me, the sisters were great.
Yeah.
Doug Jones was great. Sam
Mhm.
Richardson,
As always.
quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
But this new wave of kids, maybe I'm just jaded and grumpy. But like I try and be empathetic. I try and connect with these younger audience movies when I'm watching them, and these kids were just so borderline apathetic about everything that was happening to them that I was just
fair criticism.
I was really frustrated by that, and I was like, is there no sense of wonder and no sense of peril here? Are you just that blasé about witches coming back from the dead and flying around?
Right.
Have you
I-
met children these days?
I have.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe
But
the TikTok is ruining things for
Sometimes like that drollness doesn't really play if you're not directing it a lot, and I don't know. It was kind of a mixed bag for me. I liked everything with the sisters for the most part,
Yeah.
and they had
The
some
Roomba
great-
gag killed me. That was my
That
favorite
was
gag
good.
of the movie.
That was funny.
And Doug Jones as Billy was a lot of fun, but yeah, it felt more like a Halloween special. That's what I was saying afterwards when I was talking about it with Marisol. I was like, it felt like a holiday special more than a movie, and it wasn't a complete loss. But
Like, I don't want to say cheap. That's not the right word, but I just feel like the first one
The sets like
felt like a movie.
Yeah,
like,
you
I don't
felt
know,
like you
just,
were in it.
You could tell they like filmed on location for certain things in the first one, and I don't know. There's just like It's gonna sound dumb talking about Hocus Pocus and saying there was more of an authenticity, but I just felt like there was more of an authenticity in the first one and the second one. And I'm not discrediting Disney Channel original movies because I grew up on them and I loved them, but the second one very much felt like a Disney Channel original movie, and I was like, there's nothing wrong with that per se, especially if it's introducing a whole new generation to Hocus Pocus. But yeah, like I was like, oh, like it just feels like certain things feel a little chintzy, which if you have this long-awaited sequel, like again, here in a year where we had something like Top Gun, which was a long-awaited sequel that knocked out of the park, you had people just as, a certain subset of people that were just as hyped for Hocus Pocus, and you get these great actors back.
They left a lot of money on the table, regardless of the quality of the movie. They left money on the table for everyone of Bethany's age group going to that. They would have made bank on that
Millennial
movie at the
women
theater.
love Hocus Pocus. It's
Give me the Top Gun Maverick of Hocus Pocus sequels. They're actually
I-
flying the damn brooms.
I want to see Winifred. in
Real
a fighter
Virgin
jet.
lights the candle.
Yeah. I want to see her resuscitate like a World War I fighter and like fly it at inhuman speeds at people and just kamikaze into stuff. But for me, the biggest issue too was there was a lack of personality that the kids brought to the first movie that wasn't here, and like. I don't want to oversimplify by comparing everything to the Goonies, but it is a touchstone for a lot of people, and that camaraderie that is like so strive for in kids movies, that's really present in that first Hocus Pocus. I didn't feel it in this so much.
And the Goonies is a perfect friendship movie. Like that is like the benchmark for friendship, I would say, one of them when it comes to that, when you have child actors.
For a lot of us, yeah, it's very relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Go ahead,
speaking of kids that aren't great in movies, my favorite horror movie of the year is Cheaper by the Dozen. And let me preface that with I've only seen 6 movies this year.
What are the 6
what are the
movies
6? Yeah.
you've seen? Is that a legit true story, or did you?
And I'm literally looking at my my list. The Batman.
Put new releases on there.
I'm gonna get to it. Don't
The Batman's
worry, I always
spooky.
do.
It was.
The Batman, Kimmy, RRR, Prey, which actually in a way was kind of a horror movie, and I
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
was going to bring it up earlier when we were talking about Simple. Death on the Nile and Cheaper by the Dozen.
Cheap.
Of the 6
Pretty
movies you could have possibly seen this year, Cheaper by the Dozen's a little bit our fault because like we kind of
That isn't
all
your fault.
That's a wide variety of movies.
but what a strange arrangement. I
My
love
co-
it.
It also-
I'm just good at that.
It also strikes me as like, not that this is why, but if you had told me you saw those all while staying with your aunt, I would believe you.
Yeah, those 2
I'm kinda
scenes.
like
Oh yeah, we
working
watched
on
Death
it.
on the Nile. It was great. It was Sunday
I'm
afternoon.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I like to
Triple
start
R.
with the long.
Death on the Nile
Triple
with
R.
a family member because I do feel that's like your mom
Yeah.
or like an aunt or
I'm
someone.
working
Or
on it. I like to watch the like really long because you can organize in Letterbox by length. So it's like my list of 2022 movies to see, I organize by length. So I get like the really long ones out first. And that just happens to be one of the long ones. I was like, I'm going to watch a 2022 movie. Oh, that one's long. I'll watch it. I'm getting there. I'll watch it.
I like that
eventually.
strategy.
You're going to see
Because then
Wakanda
you're down-
Forever, aren't you?
That
You're
one's
down,
long.
you're down to the 80-minute ones.
You're
at the
down.
end,
Yeah, you're
and
like,
then it's a race.
80 minute. Oh, that's so nice. But
It's
my
like-
coworker.
Crunch time. You have 2 months
Yeah.
if you want to see it in
Well,
2022.
No, I don't really care. I'm not Jeff.
Yeah, I guess about it. That's fair.
My coworker that we made, that we did raised our money for last month.
Yeah.
He made me watch RRR.
Aww.
He was like, this was like when I was still new, and I was like, I want to make sure he likes me, and he texted me randomly, watch RRR. And I'm like, okay. So I did.
Did we get a final tally of what we donated? I just speaking of your
Yeah,
friend and how
I've
we
yet to
raised
give. I
money.
got to give it to him yet, but AJ did send me the final tally.
So
I was like, I
I
don't
want
think
to say
I'm
it was
gonna
288.
Aw,
Nice.
right on. Thank you, everyone.
Very
I thought it
cool.
was-
Sweet sassy molassy brandy.
No, it was 322.
What are you up to,
Total.
Adam?
Okay,
Was the
very
total.
impressive.
This year, I'm not up that high, but I've been watching more TV this year with the Schmodown winding down. I've been catching up on a lot of television. I've watched the
That's
better.
not my time.
Common thread.
I've watched the better part of 300 movies, but I've been watching a lot of TV. I have the advantage of having some downtime while I work, so I'm able to watch certain things on my laptop when I have downtime, which is a great benefit. So I'm able to catch up on a lot of TV that way.
That's cool.
And I want to talk about some horror TV this year too, if we could, because I've been having a lot of fun with that.
Absolutely, go for it.
I'm not going to spoil anything because people are catching up with it, but I can't say enough good things about Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. Netflix does a lot of original horror content. Some of it's good, some of it not so much. But
Right.
Cabinet of Curiosities is solid upper tier because not only is Del Toro producing it, but they're basically 8 hour-long movies by 8 different directors. So you have people like Panos Cosmatos, who directed Mandy with Nicolas Cage. You have Jennifer Kent, who directed The Babadook. You have David Pryor, who directed the very underrated The Empty Man from a year or two ago. That was really scary. So Vincenzo Natali, who did Cube. There's just a lot of great directors, and the acting, the level of talent is A-list across the board. You have people like F. Murray Abraham. My guy Crispin Glover pops up, which
Crispin Glover.
why shouldn't he?
I love Crispin.
But yeah, just there's a lot of great talent in the show as well. So if you haven't seen it yet, even though Halloween's over, this is great. There's a Christmas episode. It's a lot of fun.
Well,
It's Del
tis the
Toro.
season.
I always like Del Toro too. So one thing I was going to say, I did see this today that Del Toro himself tweeted either today or yesterday. It's one of the only things that critics and fans are like agreeing on right now. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, both of the scores are very high for that. So
It's incredibly good. And it's Del Toro collaborating with other creators and giving them a platform, which is always exciting. And it's always really fun to see directors work with something that's on a smaller scale between movies, see what they can do with a smaller budget, things like that. And
creativity comes out big time with the smaller budgets. So
8 episodes, each one of them worth watching. Go check it out.
Jeremy Miller apparently has seen it, saying it's like a rated R Goosebumps. Oh yeah, you got me.
I like that.
I had so many of the Goosebumps books as a kid.
That show
Me too.
did scare me as a child.
Speaking of anthology, though, have you seen the new VHS?
Yes. I am a fan of that franchise overall. It's up and down, but the last 2 are so good.
Yeah. So I was telling, I don't know if anybody else has seen it here, but I gave a couple vague premises, and stuff like the one that was the horror riff on the Nickelodeon game show. Which
Oh my God.
Absolutely loved.
Yeah.
I-
Ozzy's Dungeon. Yeah.
Yes. And then, okay, here's something related to that. Have you seen Deadstream?
Yes, and we went hard on this on our show on Video Drew's channel last week, but I can't promote this enough. Deadstream is one of my favorite horror movies of the year. I've seen it twice so far.
So I don't know if I gave the full pitch to you, Mike, if we were just really drunk during the anniversary stream.
No, you did. You did.
For anybody who didn't catch the anniversary stream, Adam, let me know if I missed anything here. It is it's like Evil Dead 2, but found footage starring the worst Twitch streamer you know.
It's great. That's a great elevator pitch from AJ. He nails all the important beats, and that is definitely what it is. But it makes fun of Twitch and YouTube culture in such a fun, knowledgeable way. And not for nothing, this guy, the director / star of it, Joseph Winter, he screams a lot like Josh McCouga, which is pretty different.
yes, he does.
He screams a lot like, and he doesn't look like him, but he has a big beard. And when McCouga had his beard, there's some similarities, but he screams like him. That's for sure.
My sister does some stuff community wise with another Twitch streamer who acts entirely different from this guy, but looks exactly like him. And she doesn't watch any horror things at all. So I had to have her girlfriend watch it and then show her screenshots.
What I will tease about Deadstream is the way it implements the humor of a live chat is pretty ingenious. So I won't spoil any of the actual dialogue, but just watch it. You'll laugh. You'll have a great time.
Where is this on?
Yeah,
Shudder.
Okay.
I was like, I feel like I remember it being on one of those.
We
but
just
I
didn't remember which
right
one.
now.
Yeah.
When I just got done watching VHS, I also heard VHS that Deadstream was good. I didn't know. So when I saw, I didn't recognize him at first, but when I saw, I think it's his wife that's his directing partner and co-star.
She's not the co-star, but she's the director. The actress is someone different, but Vanessa Winter's his wife, who co-wrote and co-directed Deadstream and the VHS segment.
Then I'm okay, but the girl is the same girl from the last skit.
Yes, she's in both movies.
Okay.
And but VHS 99 is also on Shudder, and all the VHS movies are found footage anthology movies. But the most recent ones, VHS 99 and 94, do a really good job of going back to the 90s and engaging with it, with things that were popular back then, things that were trendy. And in the case of VHS 99, there's a lot of Y2K paranoia. A lot of .com stuff. It's really fun.
There's some stuff like the early CKY tapes is a parody.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Yeah.
All the stunts and stuff.
That all predated Jackass, so
Yes.
that was the predecessor to Jackass. So yeah,
What pray tell are you making up there?
is that the jabroni?
I've decided that I'm not a big fan of champagne on its own.
Same. I always make a mimosa.
So I decided to make the champagne cocktail, which is just bittered up sugar cube poured on the champagne.
I literally thought you just poured beer into the
Maybe
champagne.
Yeah,
That'd be a
right.
weird
You're
mix.
fancy.
Wait a second. But this is an absinthe glass, which is a horror, which was slightly made popular by the Johnny Depp movie From Hell. I did watch that this year.
All right.
There you go.
Cheers to watching From Hell.
So
Yeah,
it was on the IG list, and even though Jacob Wood-David's no longer in the IG, just like
nobody is.
anybody else, I decided, hey, it's still on my list, and there's absinthe in it. Let's check it out.
I saw that in theaters actually. From Hell.
Oh God, take
Yeah.
another drink, everyone. Oh well,
That wasn't when
was
I worked
seeing-
in theater.
That
That
was just seeing it in
that-
theaters. Never mind.
That
doesn't
predated
count.
me because that was 2001.
One.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Am
think.
I that
Yep.
old?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And we were all jonesing after Sleepy Hollow. We all had another Johnny Depp period piece. So like that came out and we are like, oh, and
Everyone
then
got excited and was like, "It's fine."
it's not as good as Sleepy Hollow, but it's not a complete piece of garbage either. It's,
No,
it's got stuff in it. You know,
Not very
there's a
memorable.
review for you. It's got stuff.
Yeah,
It exists.
I didn't hate it.
It's got absinthe in it.
Oh yeah, I love good absinthe porn where it's like pouring the absinthe over a sugar cube.
Yep.
In slow motion.
Oh yeah.
Big fan of that.
Yep. Got the abs.
He's not on Instagram.
Worth the watch for that, everyone.
Oh yeah, naturally.
Speaking of classic horror related but not related, this year at Horror Nights there was a Monsters House, which is pretty par for the course because I always say that's Universal's big thing.
Mhm.
So this house was Legends Collide, and it had Mummy, Dracula, and Wolfman in it. And at the end of the house, it always changed like who was like the winner, essentially, which is kind of cool. Like it gave it some like, what's the word for rewritability for a
repeatability.
house? I don't know, repeatability.
That if you did it, you got
Yeah,
a
you got
different
like a different winner.
different story.
So I go through my first run and I'm just like amazed by the sets and I like love the classic like Universal Monsters vibe. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun. This is a fun house. Then we get to close to the end and they have like a triple scare.
Yeah, it has to time out right.
Time
though.
out right. And we happen to get it at the right time. And I was so distracted because on the right, Dracula's literally flying and it's badass. Like it looks so cool.
He's on it. Yeah.
And
he's
so
on a
you're
table.
so distracted by that you don't realize on the left that Wolfman and Mummy are coming at you. And I almost peed my pants. Like the rest of the house, I was like, oh, this is fun. This is cute. I like this. Oh, classic monsters. Ooh, yay. And then I'm like, oh my God, Dracula's flying. Oh my God.
The
And
Dracula
then I,
flying at you is
died.
literally just a distraction for what the real
For
scare
what the
is.
real scare
Oh,
is.
nice.
And it got me so good. Like Mike was in front of me, I'm behind him, and he like stopped to basically turn around and laugh at me because it got me so good.
So-
Like the effing Wolfman, whoever you were, Wolfman,
You got it.
you done good that night.
So Halloween Horror Nights obviously ended on Monday night. We always like to go to the last night because crazy stuff always happens the last night. The cast has lots of fun and things like that. We were not in this for it, but I saw somebody posted this. Somebody in that very same house, instead of wearing their mummy costume, went backstage and got a Cat in a Hat costume. And if you went through in the very last run through of the house, instead of the mummy jumping out, it was
Honestly,
Cat in a Hat.
Potentially more terrifying.
If it's the Mike Myers one,
Absolutely.
for sure.
The Michael Myers one, that is a terrifying movie.
Oh, he's hideous. But I gotta say, I have a lot of love for Halloween Horror Nights. I'm very jealous that you're in proximity to one. I've been to both the California and Orlando ones, and the production value's off the charts. Obviously, I've got a little Halloween Horror Nights shot glass from 2017 that I'm very proud of with the Shining girls on it. And
Yes, the Shining
you remember,
houses
you
were
remember
great.
that year?
That was Shining
Um,
and Ash vs. Evil Dead was that year too.
Yes. And the best part about The Shining, at least the one I went to the one in California that year, and the Shining one was great. But what cracked me up is when you went in, they just unleashed an army of Jack Nicholsons. I've never seen that many Jack Nicholsons just popping out of everywhere. At one point, there were 3 of them chasing me. I was like, fine, whatever. I like bring on all the Jack Nicholsons. And then when I was waiting in line, they had Delbert Grady saying, "You were always the caretaker here, Mr. Torrance." I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
I was.
The beginning of the house, 100%.
It's so fun.
Okay, you say an army of Jack Nicholsons. I want different Jack Nicholson characters though.
All the different Jack Nicholson characters.
Oh my God, that would be the best house of all time.
I want a slow walking Alexander Payne about Schmidt one just right
God.
in the pack.
Like when he gets out of the waterbed and he's like on drugs. Yeah, that'd be good. Or like if I had as good as it gets, Jack Nicholson would terrify me. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near him. No.
And he's
I
just
want-
done Viagra.
I want in real life Jack Nicholson where he's throwing cheeseburgers over a fence to a large Marlon Brando.
You get
That
you get to the
story
lot.
was told to me by already mentioned coworker we raised money for last year. He and I are talking about movies, and he's like, "Did you know that Jack Nicholson before he was like huge, would like sneak cheeseburgers to Marlon Brando by throwing him over like his fence, and we were like burst out laughing, and a customer walks in, and we're just like dying of Jack Nicholson cheeseburger in our.
I want
That's-
someone
this-
to just
anyways.
cook food
this-
to me.
This Jack
I want
Nicholson
that.
house, though, the only way it can end, though, has to be the last scene has to be him jumping out of his seat at a Laker game, yelling at LeBron or something like,
No.
"You gotta do better than that."
With
I
a
got
bowl of his
you.
own chili in his arms.
Yes.
Yeah.
He spills the chili, and you can smell it. Like they pumped the pumpkin smell in that one.
Oh
last
yeah,
year.
you know I like the full sense
in the figment.
experience. Like, give me the smell of the chili in the room. Thank you.
Also, Jack Nicholson, I've heard all these legendary stories about people driving by his house on those Hollywood tours, and it makes me want to. If I ever like became a billionaire, I would just buy a house in Beverly Hills. So like during like these star tours, when they go by my house, I could just be chainsawing a canoe in half to like Prince music on full volume or just something, and
Marty
then they
Man.
just talk about it. And I'll be like, it never happened,
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I never did that. I know that's a dream. I just want to be like a rich person who is just like very weird, and they're
It's just
like, I don't know what
eccentric
the
as
fuck.
fuck.
Very eccentric. Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
In lieu, I didn't want to gifts from anybody this year, so like my family, like they wanted to do something, so their in birthday cards were lottery tickets, I guess. So
It could be your time. Is what you're saying,
This-
to be an
this could be the time.
rich person.
eccentric weirdo, just
Well-
eccentric weirdo billionaire.
Are you talking about Mr. Harrigan's Phone? Am I the only one who saw that movie?
I need to. I really
Okay.
want to watch Mr. Harrigan's Phone.
I'm a Stephen King nut, so I'll watch any Stephen King thing once. And Mr. Harrigan's Phone was better than I thought. Not mind blowing, but Donald Sutherland's pretty good. Jaden Martell's very good. Yeah, what you were saying just reminded me of it. I don't want to spoil anything. Just check it out. It's underrated.
I've heard good things from people that I trust, and that's enough for me. Even if like the overwhelming consensus is fairly negative, if there's a few like either personal or critical references that I have for something, I'll definitely check anything out.
Stephen King has a way of seizing on these really specific moments in time. And for this, he chose to look at like the late 2000s when the iPhone first became a thing. And it's a story about Jaden Martell, who reads to this eccentric billionaire played by Donald Sutherland. And he reads to him and buys him his first smartphone, which is just kind of a mind fuck for Donald Sutherland's character.
Right.
He's never had something like that. And then, of course, because it's Stephen King, it becomes a story about the supernatural at some point. But just go check it out. Not too shabby for a streaming movie on a Sunday or something.
I mean, with Donald Sutherland and Jaden Martell, that's two very big names, especially Donald Sutherland, but Jaden becoming a bigger name by the day. I feel like he's on the verge.
He's really becoming quite good. Defending Jacob on Apple TV, that was like a dramatic crime thriller series. It's really, really good. He's the centerpiece of that.
Well,
Looks like
Donald
Brennan.
Sutherland has one of my favorite supporting actor performances of the year already.
What's that?
Motherfucking Moonfall. I'm
Oh,
going to be
God.
wheeled.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be wheeled out.
Would I call that a supporting? I would say like cameo. at
It's
best.
more than a minute long.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? You're right.
He
You're
supports.
right. I guess he is.
It's about
officially
3
a supporting
minutes.
actor
Probably about
in
3
that
minutes
movie.
he's in it.
I don't want to be
unbelievable.
bothered to stand. You can wheel me out. I will espouse exposition, and then you wheel me
That's it.
away,
What a
and I will
weird role
blow
for
my
him,
brains
really.
out off screen.
Have
How did Roland Emmerich like pitch that to him? Like, you want to come in for a day
For 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes.
I'll
Like,
explain. I'll explain.
I
Have
will
any
give
of
you
you
$1
seen?
million.
Have any of you seen Backdraft?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so
Oh.
Donald Sutherland did the same thing in Backdraft, except he played a pyromaniac, and he has one like really cool scene with Robert De Niro where like they talk about what the metaphor of fire, and it's really cool. They literally wheel him out in Moonfall, and I saw this movie on a plane. Perfect place to watch.
I
it, by
did.
the
Me
way.
too. Me too.
100%.
Perfect place to
guys.
watch Moonfall.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
That was not on your list, Juice. That's another movie you saw this
I didn't
year.
finish it. My
That's right.
plane.
Remember his plane?
It
I
ended
watched
before
it
my.
beginning to end.
I have
That's
30 minutes
right.
left. I have 30 minutes left.
Well,
You missed
so
the
yeah,
island. I watched it for the duration of my flight, and I've yet to go back and finish the last
Okay.
30 minutes.
if you
I
have
think
30
it's still
minutes
next
left
now.
of Moonfall, you have not started Moonfall.
Moonfall,
You ain't seen
Moonfall
nothing yet.
And I knew a
Moonfall
watch along was coming.
beats 2012 for blowing its load on destroying a city inside of 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
for sure.
because it beats all of Emmerich's movies in that regard, because it just CG destroys a city within the first 15 minutes, and you don't even know why it's happening. You're like, wait,
No.
Okay. So are you on the train that this is self-parody from Roland Emmerich?
I think
I don't think it is.
I think it's sincere.
That's why.
that's giving him a lot of credit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why the movie is so insanely. I love this movie. Like,
I don't think he's that
ironically and
self-aware.
unironically, but I think the fact that he was trying to make something he thought was good is what
Wait,
made it
can
the
we-
train wreck it is.
Can we get back to why Donald Sutherland got wheeled out? Because we were on that path, and then we got distracted.
Well, Donald
it's-
Sutherland came out and explained that the moon was evil, and
So this is
just
like,
like
you're saying
just
like
like
this
fire is evil in Backdraft.
So because he did Fire is Evil, like this is he's been typecast as the guy that just comes out and like gives exposition.
It could do a lot worse than Donald Sutherland explaining your movie.
I
in 5
mean,
seconds, yeah.
fair.
Sign me up anytime he's in it to explain something.
I love Donald
100%.
Sutherland. Listen, that man is Mr.
Is he on
Bennett,
Cameo?
and
He's
I
Snow.
quote him all the time from 2005
Is he on
Prime
Cameo?
Here's what's scary about Moonfall, if it's not self-parody, is that there's not just one Roland Emmerich protagonist-style grizzled divorcee. There are two Roland Emmerich style protagonists who are grizzled divorcees, and that might mean that number could increase in the future.
I hope it does. I hope it's just an entire team. Of, you know what I mean? Like there's
Jeff
like
Goldblum, John Cusack,
Yes.
like the whole gamut.
Sign me up. I'd watch it.
I will always go see a Roland Emmerich movie because it's going to be a ride. You never know what kind of ride, but
It
it's going to be a
didn't
ride.
disappoint.
Donald Sutherland
did it not
just donated
disappoint.
$10.
Oh,
Same.
God bless him.
They actually broke into my house and would only leave after I read the script. They even tried to shoot me for real.
You know what? Honestly, if that was the story, I'd be like, yeah, I believe that.
Look, as horrifying as Moonfall is, I think we've given it enough lip service. I want to hear what other horror resonated with you guys this year.
So I saw a handful. I did not get to see Smile, which I regret. I've heard very good
I have
things about
thoughts. I have thoughts.
it. Okay.
That trailer freaks me out.
I love.
I don't know if I can do it.
Big fan of Black Phone. I love Black Phone. Big fan of Barbarian. Big fan of Nope.
All right,
Nope is great.
solid list.
Nope.
Yeah.
Which I understand a lot of people are all like, Nope is not a real horror movie and whatever.
But it wasn't supposed to be.
But it's not
It's more of a thriller than.
right. Which I think it's
Did you
it's-
slap him? Did you slap him? Because Nope is so like fun, scary. It's like it feels like it went back to that sense. People bring up the Twilight Zone a lot, and I do the same thing. But the reason I think of the Twilight Zone is the Twilight Zone tapped
Jordan
into
Peele.
this. Yeah, but like going back to Rod Serling's Twilight Zone, the thing I love about it is it tapped into this like uncomfortable idea of just reality changing. Like if reality changes, if the rules change, then it subverts everything we understand about how we conduct our lives. And Jordan Peele really nails that in his movies, in my opinion. And I like Us a lot, but Us, I could tell, was a little rushed. Whereas Nope, he had a little more time to work on, pound out the themes. And I can just tell it's a movie that's going to be so much fun to watch again and again and again. And the whole thing with the sitcom angle.
That's my favorite part of the movie.
And really drew out the themes so well about
Mm-hmm.
animal abuse, showmanship.
Celebrity worship.
Yeah, it's just there's so much to unpack with that. It's a lot.
I
Great
liked
movie.
I guess just the way narratively it was told. Like I liked we start with that whole sitcom aspect, and then you're like, what is
And you don't know what it
does
is.
that
but
have
it,
to do with,
you
and
know,
then you like I love the way it was kind of that just like you would come back to it and whatever. Like I just thought that was very
he's
clever.
he's only a couple movies into his career, but he's a good storyteller.
Mhm.
Well, oh, by the way, I don't know if you know about my merchandising idea, Adam. A jean jacket kite. And we call it
Ooh.
Nope on a Rope.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Thor
I
Love and
personally,
Thunder.
I need a jean jacket with an embroidered jean jacket UFO on it myself.
Jean jackets on jean jackets.
Because I am a Canadian tuxedo guy. I'm not a
Yes.
And,
Yes.
I do make the effort to not wear jeans with my jean jackets when I can, but I love my jean jacket.
Sometimes.
So if I had an actual,
You've had moments where there was no other choice.
yes, yeah, I definitely have, well, I mean, it's for posterity. It's in a couple of my Schmoedown matches from the final season. I did my matches with Paul. I did in a full Canadian tuxedo.
Yep.
Because the Coyote was finding his fashion sense and swag. There you go. Narrative.
So it was a narrative choice.
Yeah.
Between that and the dancing. Oh, the dancing.
You can call it that. That's kind.
But
But Nope is great. Nope is excellent.
I really like Nope a lot.
that was a good theatrical experience too. Like that's one of
Mhm.
those.
Listening to the we saw it Thursday night, and listening to the crowd like react appropriately
that
was
like
fun.
fake out alien scene in the barn, which honestly is still a very terrifying scene because of course you don't know that it's just a bunch of like kids messing around with him.
Spoilers.
Spoilers
Still-
for everyone.
It's early on,
Um,
but it's such a good little scene.
Yeah, I think that's just a very good scene, and that was just like one of those really good. You have to see it in theaters moments, like everyone reacting, and then like the second he's like, "Nope," and like everyone just laughs because it's like, yeah, exactly. You're like, "Nope, I'd nope right out of that situation too." Like,
The Nopes in that movie were all earned.
Yep.
yeah,
so
100%.
There were 7. However, the word nope was yelled at the screen.
Way
Like,
more
yelled
times.
10 times in my theater.
Nope. I just think that's the perfect name for a horror movie because that is literally what everyone says.
Yeah.
Real quick, guys. Anyone seen Fire in the Sky from the 90s?
Back in the day, yes.
Yeah. So
DB Sweeney.
D.B. Sweeney, yep. Robert Patrick's in that.
Really?
Fire in the Sky feels like an X-Files episode that never got
Yes.
aired without Mulder and Scully in it. It's really got that vibe, and it's really fun. But
It's a fun movie that like the first time you see it is
Oh, I've
terrifying,
never
but then when you
seen
watch
this.
it upon rewatch, it's like, okay, this is really campy, but
the idea of it, the idea of him
Terrifying.
being sucked up like that is so prevalent in Nope. And when I was watching Nope, I was reminded of Fire in the Sky in a good way,
Mhm.
not a derivative way. I was like, wow, yeah, that claustrophobia, that sense of being eaten by the ship, just so horrifying.
I've never heard of this movie, and now I'm
90
going to be watching it with
Three?
you next week.
It's so much
You-
fun.
I was
How
sold
the
at TV
hell?
Sweeney, honestly.
Have you never gotten a single movie release date right until now? I have the Wikipedia page up. You nailed it.
He's actually freakishly good.
there's a bizarre reason for this, and I will tell it to you because I did not see it in theaters. My sister, who is 6 years older than me, went to see it. At the time, I was 10. I went and saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 the same day that she saw it. I remember this for a fact. And I remember that Ninja Turtles 3 was 93. So
That's how
Okay.
he remembers it, everyone. Go figure.
Turtles in Time.
Thanks, Turtles in Time. We salute you.
But I did see Fire in the Sky after the fact. Like I believe I saw it probably on like TNT or something like that. Years
So-
later.
I thought it was a TV movie for years, and it was theatrical though.
It did not make money in theaters. If I'm not, it was a bomb, if I'm not mistaken. But it was also made on no
It's on
budget.
Prime?
So
Okay, I'm gonna have to go check this out.
we can watch that up and down.
I love TVs. Wait, but it's like scary, or like
It's like Twilight Zone kind
You
of.
can handle it.
I can
Yeah.
handle that. Then.
Yeah, you watch Nope, you can handle Fire in the Sky, but it's intense, and it's one of the scarier alien movies in my opinion.
So I have one horror movie that I loved from this year that is not really discussed a lot in pop culture. I know that there's somebody in the chat that I don't think had a favorable reaction to it that I'm waiting to have a conversation about. But Adam, have you seen We're All Going to the World's Fair?
No, so that is on my catch-up list with Bodies. So I'll be watching that very soon. Is that on Hulu?
It is on HBO Max. It's very
Okay.
challenging.
Okay.
It's very hard subject matter. It's very terrifying, and in all these things in ways that you wouldn't expect. So,
Before
Yeah,
we
I've heard. I really want to see it. So
I do feel like we need to discuss Werewolf by Night, right? Because we've
Yeah.
not discussed that, and I'm pretty sure we've all watched it now. Juice, have you watched it
Of
now?
course not. Are you
Okay,
kidding?
I don't know why I asked that. Of course,
All
we
right.
haven't.
all right, so
I'll
I'm
get
gonna
to it.
I'm gonna
I'll get
fall
to
on
it.
my sword here and join Juice. I was busy watching Cabinet of Curiosities. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I watched. I watched.
that.
8
I'm going to watch
hours. I was too busy watching 8 hours of television. I couldn't find time to watch.
it's
Werewolf.
TV.
It's
I'm so
you
sorry.
can-
I do want to see it. Though.
52-minute movie.
you can catch up at any time. It's on Disney Plus. All right, no spoilers
Right
then,
here.
and we will not go into full discussion. But I have to bring up slight beef with AJ, not actual beef. It's his birthday. Also, I've never actually had real beef with AJ, even if it's not on his birthday. But we kept being like, "Oh, we need to watch it," and we also kind of like dragged our feet on it because we were catching up on the 5,000 other things that everyone is just bombarded with watching. But Mike, when was this? Like a couple weeks back.
About 2 weeks
Again,
back.
we were in the spooky season mood,
Yeah.
and a bunch of people told us it was amazing, and we're like, okay, it's like 52 minutes. Like we need to sit down and watch this. And apparently, I actually was not present for this conversation, but Mike's like, yeah, AJ said he thinks I'd really love it. He's not sure on your opinion, and I was like, oh, intriguing. I wonder if I'm gonna like this then. So we sat down and watched it, and I actually think it's way more my vibe
It definitely. She
than
loved
it's
it.
Mike's vibe. So I
Absolutely
was like,
loved it.
oh, I gotta bring that up. I was like, this actually fits way more my vibe. That like I am 100% a like film noir, monster hunting, like that kind of vibe is so much more my shtick. I think that
I think you'll really like
his
it, Adam.
vibe, but
Actually,
it's great.
knowing your taste.
I
and
would.
also, yeah, I just love Michael Giacchino as a composer, and I did not know that he could do, directing as well. But like, kudos! What a great debut for him. I think he really has some style
He's
and some talent.
sneaky. He's a sneaky, talented dude. He's done like some television, I want to say, some short films. And I have to say, as a fan of E2 Mama Tambien, it was cool to go into Disney Plus a few weeks ago and see Gail Garcia Bernal and Diego Luna side by side. Incidentally,
Oh, so true.
and I was just like, "Yeah, you go, guys. You rule Disney Plus."
Yeah. Hey, I mean, they're killing it right now. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
So this is not a spoiler thing because there's a werewolf in it, right? My pitch to Mike, why I thought this is more Mike's thing than Bethany's thing, is that if a guy tries to spin kick a werewolf and he fucks around and finds out, I automatically assume that's Mike's thing.
Yeah, for the brief period, and don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it. But Bethany was like way like she was
way more
super
my
sucked
vibe
into it.
than I was. Like he was like filling out on his phone, and I'm like into it. Like I don't know. I love like I also just kind of love like there's like a certain element of campiness. Like I was a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer girl growing up. I love Supernatural. Like it's like 100% kind of fits in that vibe. Like there's just sort of like campiness to it, and I love like the practical effects and the just like film noir vibe or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is like my Buffy, like old school, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibes. I am into this.
Also, I know enough about the premise that I just am always here for any movie or show where the basic setup is person invites all these people to a mansion to do things and like it's spooky and weird. And why are they all even going in the first place? They should know this is a bad idea.
It's so simple but so effective.
Also, that premise, because we've seen a couple of trailers now. I mean, I always think of that short story I had to read in like high school, The Most Dangerous Game. And I feel like that's where everyone always kind of like takes that premise from. But we saw, what is it called? The Menu?
The Menu looks so
that
good.
That looks really good. That's like
I can't that I haven't seen yet. Yeah, it's coming out.
Oh, it's not out yet. It's not out yet.
Well, like some people have seen it at festivals, but it's going to go wide release soon. And I'm excited to see that.
I'm into that. That I can vibe with that.
2 weeks, I think. I think it's 2 weeks it comes out.
Yeah, roughly.
It's the same weekend, I think, as Black Panther.
Oh, wow.
Counter programming. I always think my first thing when I think about people being invited is what I think is the best episode of Family Guy, which is when all the Family Guy characters get invited to like and somebody gets murdered and it's a whole murder.
Yeah, I'm a
parody, obviously, of all of the
for that kind
movies
of stuff.
that do that. But
Guys, by the way,
100%.
Monkey D Luffy donated $10 saying, speaking of things opening, seeing things opening night, don't forget to check out One Piece film Red this weekend, especially
week,
if
yeah.
you've never watched an episode of One Piece. Okay, so we know who's doing all these silly names, right? We need to have John Getz on soon.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
I know I've heard of One
Ah.
Piece kind of in my life. There's shows and video games and such.
We saw a trailer for that, and if I'm not mistaken, one of the critic reviews that's put up on the trailer is Bibiani. I'm pretty certain it was One Piece.
That seems up his alley.
Yeah, because they put up because obviously the movie's dubbed and stuff, and they put up a bunch of critic reactions to it, and he is actually listed on the trailer for that movie, which I thought was pretty cool. Oh yeah, Clue is such a great movie.
Clue
That's
is.
a
Clue, right.
That is a
Classic
fun
movie.
movie.
So
one more. Have
Yeah.
you seen it, Adam?
what?
The Day Shift.
No, so I was kind of waiting to get some more feedback about that because like a lot of these Netflix movies that pop up, even when they have A-list talent, I'm like, I see you, but I still need a second to process this. And I was like, so Day Shift, I was intrigued by. Is it worth my time?
I want 30 more of them.
Okay.
I want
That's
a Day Shift
strong
cinematic
pitch.
universe.
Okay.
It is. Oh god, it's like okay. It takes the basic concept of like okay, if you're on the street and you see Blade, even if you have no concept of ever seeing like Blade before, comic books, anything like that. Oh, that guy must be a motherfucking vampire hunter, right? This is about like what a vampire hunter would actually do to be incognito, and it's fun, dude. It's so much fun.
It leans
There's
into the
tornado in
comedy.
it. Oh yeah, it is
Good.
very much it's a horror comedy action film that feels very 90s. It's shot well. It is so goofy and so
And Jamie Foxx can sell a shitty movie, so if it's halfway decent, then
That's true.
it's probably going to be pretty entertaining.
yeah. The Day
It'd
Shift
be a train
is
wreck, but an entertaining train wreck at worst.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I watched, and look, I'm not going to say it's a train wreck, but I did get through Terrifier 2, like I said.
Yes, that's
And you
what
guys,
I
have,
was
you, guys,
yes.
We do need to hear about that.
you guys have heard about it.
Oh yeah.
Now, who has seen it?
I
Not
have
yet.
not.
I don't think that's up her alley at all. This is what I might need to go see
Probably not.
solo.
No. Well, have you seen the first one, Mike?
I have not. So
All right.
but I know it's available. So
Yeah. So look, there's the thing I like about the story of Terrifier 2 is the success. I'm happy for the genre. I'm happy for like the can-do attitude of the movie. Like, oh, they made it for 250,000. It's grossed
made like 10 million.
8 or 10 million now.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. But the first Terrifier is on Tubi and a few other streaming services if you haven't seen it. And what I'll say about the sequel is it tries to do some stuff that's a little more creative than the first one, but both of them really lean into the spectacle of violence, and that's really what these movies tend to focus on. And
Right.
And I can appreciate good gore effects. I'm a classic horror fan, but my main issue with the Terrifier films is like I watch them and I appreciate how homemade they feel and how this is obviously made by horror fans, but it seems like they are rushing to disembowel people and crush their skulls. And in between, they're trying to have moments of levity that aren't really that well written or that interesting. And I was a little frustrated because there was all this excitement around it. And I watched it and I'm like, this is just nonstop violence, which I can take. Trust me, I can handle violence, but I get a little numb after a while. And
Right.
I don't know. Maybe people in the chat disagree with me. I think both Terrifier movies, they're not scary in my opinion. They're not scary at all because it's just a guy dressed as a clown incidentally killing people. I don't anticipate him showing up. I'm not scared of him. I just know when he shows up, he's going to rip a person to shreds and I have to watch it.
Gotcha.
I was
Kind of how I
actually
feel
going-
about the movie.
I was going to
Yeah.
bring up Lego here, mentioned like French Extremity style stuff being too much sometimes. But she mentioned that in a tweet related to, I think, something else because she hasn't seen it because she's saying it's what she's from what she's hearing. But like French Extremity, but not cool enough. Which
So, yep.
People should make up their own minds. Go
Or-
watch Terrifier and Terrifier 2. What's that?
It's like gore for gore's sake, kind of.
A little
vibe.
bit. Like for me, it feels like a throwback to 2000s like gore horror where it's
like a Hostel.
let's watch
George
people's arms get ripped off and their bones break, and that's I get it.
Well, you were
I
really
get
into
it.
that for a while, weren't they? Hollywood
I
was like,
cannot.
let's turn that out.
I can watch in horror. I can watch a person get smashed to smithereens if there's a point. When there's not, when that's the only point is to see them smashed to smithereens, it's not terribly interesting for me. But the thing is, this guy they got to play this clown. He's got a lot of presence. He turns the idea of being a mime more than a clown into a scary idea, and that's cool. It would make a great Halloween Horror Nights maze for sure. Let me put it that way.
It would terrify
Always
me,
game for
probably.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
Never like clowns. I'm never about the clown houses. So yeah.
even as you explain it, I'm just like, wow, this sounds like this should have been like, I don't know what the narrative of these films are because we didn't go into that, but it seems like this is a concept that belongs more in like a good 30-minute short kind of thing.
Well, I think they could make this slasher more. It could make it more suspenseful. There's no sense of suspense in my opinion because I know people are just going to get destroyed throughout these movies. That's the point. Like,
Yeah.
I have to sit and watch this geek show where people get ripped apart, and I get it. I get that's the point, but it's not very interesting to me, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Fair.
So we are going to get to wrapping up soon, but before we do, actually, Adam was going to say, what is your favorite horror property of this year?
Yeah.
It's a loaded question. It's a loaded
Yeah,
question.
it's a tough question, but like, all right. So if I was,
Cheaper by the
I'll
dozen.
rephrase this. If I was to say, of something you've watched, and I was to say, what would you want to turn on first right now to rewatch?
Let me see here. Now I'm going to cheat real quick. I'm pulling up 2022. Give me a second.
Yep,
Just
of
because I
course.
don't want to miss anything. One moment.
Because this was a strong year.
Oh yeah.
I gotta watch some movies.
Okay. So for me, as far as theatrically released films, I would have to say theatrically released Smile, Pearl, and Nope were probably my three favorite theatrically released horror movies. Just because all three of them, when I went and saw them, I was utterly immersed. I was
Right.
swept up in the story.
Pearl fucking rules.
X is solid, but
I like X.
Pearl is great.
I
And
haven't seen Pearl. I gotta go see Pearl.
Pearl is its own movie, but it makes
Right.
X more interesting
Right.
since they connect. But Pearl is a much more fascinating movie. And then Nope, we've already discussed. But Smile, for me, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a little more divisive. Some people think it kind of plays a little fast and loose with mental health, which I understand. That happens a lot in horror. But the thing about Smile is you can have the debate about mental health. I understand that. But for me, I had an emotional response to it, which if you've experienced trauma, if you've experienced something that's traumatic to you, whether there's varying degrees to that, they weaponize that as a disease in this, and they make that disease demonic in a way, and it's really, really scary in my opinion in all the ways that matter. I think like when we have like filmmakers like Ari Aster who really taps into the emotion of horror, like I think we're seeing a lot of movies strive for that now, and Smile isn't quite on the level of a Hereditary in my opinion, but I think Smile is well above average, and I hope more people see it. It really popped its first weekend, then people stopped going to see it. So
It had the best trailer of the year to me.
Yeah,
Like that trailer was
Whoever cut that
freaky.
trailer, good work. 'Cause that
Yeah.
was a very well made trailer.
I think it's gonna be like
10 out
Barbarian. Like Barbarian, a ton of people saw it when it came out on HBO, right? You guys saw it on HBO, right?
I saw it in
Um,
theaters. I saw it in
Yeah,
theaters.
I saw it
I
in
actually
theaters.
didn't see it in theaters, but yeah.
Okay.
And that was a fun theatrical experience because, to not give anything away, this movie is not what you expect it to be at all if you
No.
watch the trailer. So, but it also has some ridiculously, not just horror fun, just fun scenes in this movie that I was legitimately laughing at in theaters, and other parts like, oh my God, that's the twist that we're going. Holy shit, didn't see that coming. So that's why I enjoyed Barbarians.
Barbarian's a blast. It's a great example too of how comedians pivot to horror in a really great way because the director Zach Kreger, I don't know if anyone grew up watching Whitest Kids You Know. I did,
Of course, yeah.
and he's one of the 5 of them, and
Yep.
he's got a brilliant comedic mind. And
And Justin Long just
Justin
Yeah.
Long.
nailed that role.
Spoilers.
Nailed it.
But no, I was telling Juice before this, without spoilers, that upon rewatch, I realized the real Barbarian is the friends we made along the way.
also, shout out to Craig Gainier this year because movies called Barbarian and Elvis both came out. So
Yep.
You know what?
This was
so
his
true.
year.
That's
This was
right.
Craig's year.
I didn't think
Yeah.
about that, but now that you said that, yeah, that's spot on. It was his year.
great double feature.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
watch Barbarian then watch Elvis. What a weird, trippy time that would be.
So
All right.
That is right.
I know, Adam, you've got to go, so we're gonna go ahead and I think
I'm a East Coast. I know a lot of us are, but I got to crash. I got to get up early
The,
tomorrow.
the
but
bottom,
Right.
we aligned.
Yeah,
tonight. The bottom
we did.
crew
Yeah.
is the
We're
East
central up
Coast
here.
crew.
Tell us what
Yeah.
you're up to, though.
Well, I'd love to come back here sometime.
Always.
We'll talk at greater length, but
Spooky season again. It's a state of mind.
It
can be
it's
discussed
never
on
it
any-
never really ends. It never really
It
ends.
doesn't.
But got a few things in the works. Hoping to get some original content out on the web soon. There'll be more on that when I have it.
Nice.
But in the meantime, popping in for my show with Video Drew periodically. Why Are We Like This? That's kind of my regular way to just get out there into the world, where we find a topic every couple of weeks to dig into on her channel. And then when you can, go to Matt No's channel. I've done a few episodes of Settle the Score that have been a lot of fun.
That's been a lot of fun.
I had a match with Bibbs for Halloween. I had a match with JTE not too long ago that was fun. And in the post Schmodown era, we gotta play our trivia somewhere. So
Yeah.
Settle the Score and Video Chronic quizzes, you'll find me there from time to time.
Awesome. Yeah, that reminds us we got to start getting ready for our own little movie trivia battle.
All
we always do
right.
at the end of the year. I got to start studying.
It's going to be me and Juice
Um,
against AJ and Bethany this year.
Yeah.
We switch up
So-
the teams every year. AJ,
so-
we got
With that, I on Halloween, I'm like, yeah, I gotta watch a horror movie, and I think I forgot Barbarian was on HBO now because I've been meaning to watch that for a while.
You'll
But,
have fun with it.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
but I ended up going to Letterboxd, going to my longest first or whatever, going to my services that I have available, so HBO and all that stuff, and then going horror movies, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch the top one, and it ended up not really being a horror movie. It ended up being Dead Ringers, where Jeremy Irons just kind of plays two twin gynecologists.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
It's 2 minutes for roping.
I like that.
You're a jabroni.